Hello and welcome to another video from Combat Fusion Martial Arts. In this video we'll be looking at the technique evading the storm. Now this is an overhead attack with a stick or a club. And I'd like to point out for all our stick fighting viewers that this isn't a technique that is initially taught against somebody with any stick fighting skills. This is just somebody who's grabbed a stick in the street and is trying to hit you vertically downward on the head. So please take that into account when you're looking at this video. However, we will attach some information at the end in our variation section on different types of attack with the stick and foot positions that can relate to the defense of the technique itself. So let's get into our usual three perspectives of attacks without a partner, and then we'll do the breakdown and get into the variations. So let's have a look now at evading the storm. This technique receives its name partly from the weapon and partly from the foot maneuver. When a storm is brewing above us, rain will likely fall onto our heads. The Kenpo terminology for a stick or club is storm, as the weapon is first taught raining down onto our head. In this technique, we get out of the way of the storm raining down by moving off or evading its line of attack, hence the name evading the storm. The initial attack is taught as a stepping through vertical downward club to our head aligned with our center line. One of the reasons we amended this technique is due to a habit a lot of Kenpoists have of stopping the attack at the height of their partner's head. This makes it easy and convenient to grab the attacking arm. However, this is unrealistic and furthermore gives the defender a false sense of their ability. If the attack is performed honestly, the weapon will not stop for you to grab. It will attempt to proceed straight to the ground, passing through you if you do not get out of its way. Therefore, it is extremely unlikely you will be able to capture the weapon arm and control it. Additionally, consider what the technique's name actually is. It's evading the storm, not gripping the storm, grasping the storm, or clutching the storm. This leads on to the next reason for the amendment. We originally trained this technique by leaving the rear leg in place as we evaded the storm. This was to facilitate a roundhouse kick to our opponent's groin. However, with the attack being honest, leaving the leg behind could result in the weapon impacting and injuring that leg. Should we be dealing with a bladed weapon instead of a bludgeoning one, the injury could end up being catastrophic. Therefore, we utilise getting completely off the line of attack with both legs and replace the roundhouse kick with a front kick. As the attack is executed, step to your opponent's outside with your nearest leg and quickly follow with your rear leg also moving to the outside. Your whole body has moved clear of the line of attack. On initiating this foot manoeuvre, simultaneously execute the double block factor by parrying inwards with your leading hand, followed by a rising outward extended block with your rear arm. As your opponent impacts the ground with the weapon, immediately deliver a snapping front kick to your opponent's ribs. The reaction from this kick causes your opponent to immediately withdraw his elbow to protect the injured area. At this point, he may drop the weapon as part of the reaction, but do not expect this to happen. Take advantage of your opponent's reaction by planting your kicking leg forward into a neutral bow, bridging any gap that may have opened up, and grab the wrist of his weapon arm with your lead hand. Once you have secured the wrist, instantly pivot into a forward bow, pulling your opponent's weapon hand past your lead hip as you simultaneously execute a reverse punch also to his ribcage. Whilst maintaining control of your opponent's weapon arm, utilize the motion of pivoting into the forward bow to assist the delivery of a knee kick to the thigh of your opponent's lead leg, executed with your rear knee. As your opponent backs up from this impact, plant your leg forward and immediately use your other leg to execute a second knee kick, this time to the inside thigh of the same leg. We shall now proceed on to the extension to evading the storm. If you do not require this information at your stage of training, you may wish to bypass the next section of this video. From the second knee kick, plant your foot down at such a distance so as to enable the extension's continuation. Now deliver a step through side kick to the inside of your opponent's rear knee, further disabling his base. After the side kick, plant the foot forward into a neutral bow as you change the intent of your next weapon by delivering a lead arm inward block to your opponent's elbow, simultaneously pulling back with the grip to his weapon hand as your striking block impacts its target. If your opponent has not dropped his weapon by now, this may cause a physical disarm. Now have your lead hand grasp the thumb side of your opponent's lower hand and wrist, your thumb to the rear and fingers under the wrist. Your rear hand moves position by sliding along to have your palm pressing to the back of his hand, with your thumb aligned next to your lead hand's thumb. Take a short step forward with your rear foot as you bring your opponent's gripped hand to your center mass, and immediately reverse step with your lead foot. Pivot towards your opponent, applying pressure to the rear of his hand with your rear hand, as your lead hand assists whilst also controlling the wrist itself, as you execute a twisting wrist lock to his weapon arm. Should your opponent still have control of the weapon at this point, utilize it within the wrist lock to impact his face. As your opponent falls to the floor, keep control of his weapon arm and deliver a downward looping roundhouse kick to his face or any other convenient target. From here, front crossover and cover out. And welcome back. So now we're going to take a look at those variations. Here we're going to be using the original way I was taught to demonstrate how we can counter a secondary attack from the stick. We'll also be looking at foot positions and how that can alter your access to targets and how the movement off the line of attack actually benefits you at giving you more targets than the original version. So let's get into looking at these variations. Alright, so during the video I talked about people stopping the club attack at head height and how that gives a false sense of your ability, because leaving the weapon there for somebody to grab and just keeping it there whilst you perform the rest of the technique isn't strictly realistic. However, although we teach the technique with an overhead strike which comes all the way down to the floor, committed attack, and as I said at the opening, that this is against somebody who hasn't any skill, they just want to drive the weapon they're holding down through you, literally split you in two. There could be a situation where the attacker is hesitant, or you may meet somebody who has got a degree of skill. So the attack may actually stop at head height, but not in the sense of stopping the attack so it's easy for your partner to grab. It may be a case of somebody attacking and drawing the weapon back for a secondary attack. So the attack would be stopped, drawn back and hit again. Now, this type of attack is very dangerous because you haven't really got any idea that that is what the person's going to do. And if they do draw the weapon back, you then have to deal with a very short, sharp strike to another target. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how the original way I was taught evading the storm can assist you in learning how to deal with that,
but also show that it's still better to get completely off the line of attack rather than leave one leg in place to do a roundhouse kick. Alright, so what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at my original way I was taught, leaving the leg in place to do a roundhouse kick against somebody who's going to withdraw the weapon and strike down. So Mark's got the club and he changes it to attack. Now we're going to work slowly, so as I do this I'm talking my way through it. So as the attack's coming down, I'm moving off the line of attack. Now if Mark carries on down, he's going to hit my foot or my leg with the weapon, as we showed in the video. Now this time, I'm going to leave my leg in place, but Mark's going to stop, withdraw the weapon and come down again. He goes up and he comes down again. That's what I have to deal with, the secondary attack, who's coming down here. This is where we use the outward extended or rising outward extended block. Slowly, okay? As Mark comes down, I move out of the way. There's my rising outward extended block. Now, as Mark withdraws his weapon, I crane speed and hook around his wrist and meet it on the way back. So as he goes back, I hook it and then roundhouse kick, and I can continue with the technique in its original format the way I was taught. However, I don't know whether Mark is going to stop the weapon and draw it back, or whether he's going to commit to a full-blooded attack. So although that will work, I still have to know about my rear leg being left on the line of attack. So in my opinion, I still feel it's better to clear the line of attack completely, so I don't know, like I said, I don't know whether Mark's coming straight down or going to withdraw. So if he's coming straight down, I'm out of the way, front kick to the ribs, and then I can pick the arm up as he reacts to it. However, if he comes in and he comes over, I move out of the way here, and he withdraws the weapon back, I can grab it, kick, it's already in my arm, in my hand, it's already got his arm in my hand, for me to continue with the technique. So we just try on this side, Mark, so you can see both sides. So again, from here, I move out of the way, he comes straight through, there's my front kick, and I can pick the arm up, as per we were showing in the breakdown. But now, this time, if Mark withdraws the weapon, I've grabbed it, there's my front kick still, there's my hold, and I can continue with the technique as we showed in the breakdown. Now, one other thing we have to take into account, which will alter the technique, is which leg has Mark got forward when he attacks. Normally when people attack, they use the same leg as arm as they're attacking. So Mark's attacking with his right overhead club, he steps forward with his right foot. So that's when we do the original version here and people will grab. That's why people roundhouse kicked, because that's the only way you can effectively kick the groin, is to go around the body, because his frontal leg is protecting it. This is closing off any attack to the groin. So if we take now the original version with the leg left on the centre line, but instead of Mark stepping forward with his right foot, he steps forward with his left foot and does the overhead club attack. Here. This now stops me performing a roundhouse kick to his groin because of my position. It's just completely awkward. If I do a roundhouse kick, the best I'm going to get is the top of his thigh. So in this position, instinctively, we would do a front kick anyway. For us, we try to use the technique in the sense, as Mark's coming over, it doesn't matter whether his right leg's forward, I move to the side here, I can kick him in the ribs quite happily and continue with the technique. Or if he's got his opposite leg forward, I can go straight to the groin with a kick and then continue with the technique. So utilising getting off the line of attack protects the back leg and then also opens up the body whether you've got the right leg forward or the left leg forward during the attack. So that's just a few variations on the attack for evading the storm. I'd like to thank Mark for his assistance and wish you good night.
Okay, so that's another video from Combat Fusion. As I always say, I hope you find the information of use, and don't forget, if you have any questions or any things you'd like us to cover, put them down into the comment section. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, to share the video and give it a like. So this is Andy Seethan, Combat Fusion Martial Arts, wishing you a good night.